Well, hello everyone. You have right here talking about the conversations, and you see this right here as I paint this example right here of two sisters, and if you want to kind of call it maybe another example of maybe two partners or something like that, or maybe if it's just two or three people having a conversation, right? But talk about for just kidding right here, and a lot of times you always want to know too is toward it, yeah, that when we do. See, just kidding right here a lot of times. What is that, what exactly does that really mean whenever it comes to somebody, trying to read somebody's mind or if it's speaking for somebody's mind or something like that. But a lot of times you always want to know too that why do you think that most memos would start out with something like just kidding? And so a lot of times it's like, you go ahead and start a conversation with somebody, and let's just say if they give you a response such as, well, maybe, or not really, or something like that, but still, so every time you do think about that, then you want to know too that, okay, yeah, just kidding, yeah, it seems like a lot of times it's all about the start of a conversation, or like everybody may say is toward it, yeah, that if you're going to be getting a note in the mail about asking, would you like to make a donation or would you like to buy something, from a catalog or something like that? Yeah, it's like anything such as maybe mail invitations or any, special coupons or anything like that. And a lot of times that what you would maybe see is that, there's going to maybe be somebody that's maybe going to say that, would you like to donate today or something like that? Or that, would you like to sign up today, for this or, for that or something like that? And, yeah, so if it's maybe charities or if it's donations of any kind, but still, that most of the time, when we do have conversations a lot of times, that you would maybe start out that conversation with a question of some kind, or just like, everybody might say like any other sorts of interactions, and that would maybe be as toward, yeah, for just kidding right here. So a lot of times it's like that, everybody would maybe even say too that, that's just another way of stating as toward that, yeah, that when we do say just kidding, whenever it comes to conversations most of the time, that everybody might even think too is toward that, what do you think really anybody is trying to get at, whenever you do have conversations like that? And let's just say that with most of the time those conversations are going to have is to where that, yeah, that, hello or something like that, hi or hello. And so there'll be a memo with something like this right here to where it shows right here for just, yeah, that good morning or something like that. Usually you would hear something like, good morning or good afternoon or something like that, something like that. And so yeah, so every time you do think about that, then you want to know too that you would see something like, hello or something like that, and you would start out with the question, and let's just say that question right there, would be something like, yeah, that would you like to sign up today or something like that, or yeah, asking for some, asking for a favor or something like that. And so a lot of times anybody might even say that if you were to do the study about the typical psychology, what are the chances that maybe somebody is going to say yes or no, or maybe what are the chances that maybe somebody's going to maybe say is toward it maybe later on or something like that. And usually that's usually the answer, right? Yeah, maybe later. Yeah, yeah, maybe later or something like that. And so that's why it seems that way, to where if you were to get a response like that right there, saying, yeah, maybe later or something like that, but then, yeah, if you were to actually look at the person, and let's just say that they're going to maybe give you that look, they're going to maybe give you that look saying, would you pretty please sign up today or something like that. So yeah, so it's like, so most of the time, when we are talking about donations, and maybe when we are talking about charities, or if anything, or just asking a few questions, and maybe what exactly is it that you're thinking about or something like that. So it's like, So every time you do think about that, and you're 102, that most of the time, that why do you think that the conversations usually start out with a question, but then, they're going to maybe say is toward it, yeah, just kidding. And do you think that maybe somebody is maybe saying is toward, I want to, maybe, yeah, they want to kind of see how, your reaction whenever it comes to answering a simple question, and let's just say if they do get mad a little bit about what you say or something like that. So that's why it seems that way, that that every time you do think about that, and you're 102 is to where that yeah. So like let's just say that if this person right here is thinking about like yeah, for both the you're going to be starting conversations with somebody for sure, and 102 that hey that you start the conversation, right? But a lot of times it's like, you're warned to where, okay, yeah, even if the text do appear sideways like this right here, and your 102 is that, yeah, that you start these conversations a lot of times, and everybody's maybe going to say is toward it, hello, yeah, just kidding, or something like that, and but still that almost every conversation that you're going to have, that somebody's going to give you a response, and let's just say that that response is going to include something like, yeah, it's going to include maybe later or something like that. And I know everybody might even say that, yeah, if there's a request of some kind, and let's just say that if somebody's asking you to do them, yeah, do me a favor, and could you sign this today, or could you sign this, or could you donate, or make a donation, or something like that, or maybe if it is to where that, if you would go ahead and, yeah, they're asking you to take care of something, or maybe to mail something or something like that, and so that's why it seems that way, to where that the first response that you normally would see is that yeah, maybe later or something like that, and but like everybody might say that if you were to maybe change the color just a little bit, and like everybody might say that yeah, the mood like change the mood up just a little bit right there in the 102, that yeah, what do you think the response maybe would be? What are the likely chances are that somebody is going to be willing to do that favor? And like everybody might say that, based on your experience, that you usually see somebody with like, would you pretty please, yeah, make a donation or something like that, or yeah. So you would see something like that right there, to where, yeah, you start a conversation with somebody at 102 that, yeah, what's the type of look that they usually have? What's the type of look that they usually give to you whenever you do, talk to them about something, and maybe whenever you give them a response that they don't really want to hear, something like that. But whenever it comes to just kidding right here, that you're thinking is toward, okay, yeah, what does that mean whenever you're saying just kidding, and like everybody might say is that, I guess what it pretty much means is to where that you are that yeah that what you're does it really mean that you're joking around with the person and saying that that you ask them a question or so, but let's just say that that question, the answer that they got was something that they were not, that person wasn't very happy with. So that's why it seems that way, that that whenever you do see just kidding right there, and if anybody were to say something like, yeah, I'm only kidding or something like that, and that is why it seems that way, to where that yeah, almost every conversation that you do have with anybody, really, that if it's maybe going to be a good conversation or a reasonable conversation, or just like you may not agree with everything, but still, that whenever you have these conversations with anybody, that maybe you're going to include something like, for like maybe for greetings or for a memo saying, just kidding right here. And most of the time that when it more like a surprise, and I think everybody might even say too that if you are going to be starting any sorts of conversation with anybody really, that they would probably say that they would give you a different answer opposite from what you asked, mainly because that they were trying to surprise, that they were trying to surprise that person, and then like everybody might say that just by surprise right here. And so it's like so a lot of times it's like whenever you do talk to anybody about anything really, and let's just say if you ask them a question a lot of times, that what are the chances are that you already are going to know some of the information that they're about ready to provide, then compared to if you try to guess the answer or something like that. But still, a lot of times, whenever you do think about that, does that really catch your mind by surprise? Is knowing that if you were to say as to where that you have a conversation with somebody, and the first response that they may give is that yeah, maybe later or something like that. But how often are you really going to hear something like it's supposed to be a surprise? Okay, yep, just kidding. Something like that. And so most of the time it's about a surprise, right? They're trying to surprise you and thinking as to where you start a conversation with somebody, and they're going to say, just kidding, So like everybody might say that you want to know the look that they have. Usually whenever they ask you for a special, anything special, like everybody say, if you ask nicely, then for sure they'll be willing to take care of something for you. But a lot of times, it's like every time you do think about that, and you're 102, is that why do you think that anybody would maybe even say too that yeah, just kidding. It's my way of saying is to where that you want to try to impress the person somehow, so you're going to go ahead and say yeah, or you might say no. And so like everybody might say that whenever you do think about that, then you're 102 is to where that you say no right here. And yeah, so what source of category do you think that really goes to where whenever it comes to yes or no right here? And what category do you think what category do you think that really goes by, in case if anybody's 102, that every time you do think about that, and you're 102, that by what I mean by category, what I mean by is that really that whenever you do ask a question, that most of the time you get a yes or no response. But let's just say that if you did get a no response right here, but what you see right here, yeah, maybe highlight that in red right there. You get a no right there, a negative no, and then a yellow yes or something like that. So everybody might say that do you think that a lot of conversations start out with maybe just a little bit like something like that right there, to where that you start a conversation with somebody, you start out with red and yellow right there. Red means no, and yellow means yes or something like that. So yeah, you have this conversation right here, and you're 102 that how often is maybe that the answer is maybe going to be maybe, yeah, maybe. Maybe is not. I'm like, yeah, in case if anybody's 102, that whenever you have these back and forth conversations a lot of times, that I guess maybe is in between, right? You don't really give a positive yes or a positive no whenever you respond to somebody's question. So that's why it seems that way, that every time you do think about that, and you're 102, is toward it, then maybe that's another reason why, in case if anybody were to 102, that if you were to explain, the reasons to why you're asking, the reasons why, and a lot of times, yeah, I guess if you want to kind of call it the 5 whys, but if you say that, please explain the reasons why. Yeah, maybe later, and there are reasons why. So please explain reasons why. You're asking for me to do this. Please explain your reasons why you would like for me to participate. And please explain your reasons why you want more information about this. So it's like, everybody might even say too that every time you had these conversations, and like everybody might say, yeah, like you got these abbreviations for some source of saying, but a lot of times you always want to know too that whenever you do include a just kidding onto a conversation, that you're warned toward it, that yeah, what you're basically are doing is that you are trying to impress somebody. You're trying to surprise somebody just by, how you want to handle the conversations. And most of the time, that everybody might say too that whenever you do use the word just kidding in a lot of the conversations, and let's just say yes and no usually means something that everybody would be able to understand, right? Like everybody might say that, just to make it a little bit more simple, you ask a question and somebody's going to maybe say yes or no right here, and most of the time that those are the answers that are usually provided right there, right? And yes or no right here, and so yeah, anyway, that could also maybe mean a yes and no. That could maybe mean a yes or no or something like that. But still, that when you do have conversations most of the time, it seems that way to where that yeah, the first thing that maybe somebody's going to be thinking about is that, yeah, what exactly do you think that this person right here is thinking about? What do you think that this person is thinking about right here? And so it's like, do you think that they're both thinking, maybe later, or do you think that they're both thinking that, yeah, okay, I'm wondering what's the first impression gonna be? So whenever it comes to questions, by the way, it seems that way to where that this person did not ask right away because they didn't know what the first impression was going to be until they asked. But still. So really, what's one thing that we can maybe keep in mind whenever it comes to starting conversations with anybody, whenever it comes to if it's just kidding or maybe later or any other reason like that? And everybody might even say too that really, what is the best way of how to handle a conversation a lot of times? And I would say that it would be reasons why. Give me some reasons why that you would like to, participate. Reasons why. And any graphic designer would maybe even say too that, they, you hear about these stories about that somebody says toward the reasons why that you want more information about this and want more information about that. Give me reasons why that you ask these questions. Give me reasons why, and so that's why it seems that way. That if you were to be looking at these advertisements, a lot of times, maybe a lot of those reasons could be really good reasons too. And everybody might even say that what's the likelihood that maybe somebody is going to want to surprise you and say that they are willing to support this work, and then they're willing to I'm like, yeah, support the conversation or anything like that, but still, give me some good reasons why that you would like for me to participate. You like to have these conversations, and in case of anybody's want to know too, that the likelihood that somebody is maybe going to join that conversation, maybe if you do go by this category right here to where the reasons why, and so that's why it seems that way. That yeah, looking at this is already starting to kind of remind me maybe a little bit of the Lucky Charms cereal or something like that. But still, that reasons why right here, and you see this right here that I got this paint like yeah, knowing about what exactly do you think that these that they're thinking about right there. Yeah, give me reasons why that I should get more allowance. Give me reasons why that I want a special dessert or something like that. Yeah, so reasons why, and so that is why it seems that way to where that every time you do think about any conversation that you're going to have, you're going to use words like maybe later or just kidding. You say hello and then you start a conversation a lot of times, and so that's why it seems that way. That do you think that maybe everybody would maybe even say too that based on like a scenario or some kind, that do you think that yeah, reasons why, and they would include like yeah, the reason why that we are doing this doing this fundraiser right here, they would start out with like a period. I'm like yeah, and the reasons why is because that one of those reasons is because of that get to know about the community. The community, and it's about the community. I'm like, yeah, is it about community or something like that, or for the business or something like that, or yeah, for the charities or something like that. So like everybody might say that if you could maybe like everybody might want to know too that if you could explain a long story just by putting something like that right there to where that yeah, have a conversation like that right there. You would have a conversation right there, and then put like something like the community, and so that way a community yeah, something like a word that you would like to go ahead and use, like yeah, for the community, and like community yeah, community members or something like that. Community members that sign up today or something like that. So it's like yeah, so community members sign up. So a lot of times anybody might even say too that maybe not everybody's really going to know what that means, especially if you put it maybe sideways, like if you do like maybe any sorts of a brochure design or something like that. That maybe not everybody's really going to know what that means right there, and especially yeah, if you write it sideways, and let's just say if you write it over here or something like that. But still, it's like so every time you do think about that, and you'll want to know too that the reasons why that you go ahead and ask somebody to participate and maybe invite them or as a guest or something like that. But still, it's like yeah, reasons why, and then you got right here the community members sign up today or something like that. So really that so if this right here was supposed to be any source of advertisement or a poster of some kind, and let's just say that what it's supposed to look like right here is like everybody might say that you go ahead and paint right here these illustration paintings right here, and I was just thinking too that if you want to make this look like two sisters that are walking around in the neighborhood or somewhere, and they're saying is to where that they start a conversation talking about something of any kind, and then they say is to they hand you a booklet of information about something that they're talking about, and then they say is to where would you pretty please sign up today to participate, and so yeah, so it's like so almost every conversation that you do have with somebody, for sure, they might even say that really. You may not even remember all the things that you talked about, for sure, right? You may not remember all that stuff that you talked about during the whole conversation, and so that is why it seems that way. To where do you think that maybe giving a nickname for this would maybe help out a lot, to where you're trying to remember all the details about what you talked about? So that is why it seems that way. To where that maybe that everybody might say that. Maybe you would maybe tease and joke around about something, just so that way you'll be able to remember it or something like that. But still, that every time you do think about that, you had about maybe a 15 or 20-minute conversation with somebody during the time of that discussion, and so that's why it seems that way. To where that every time you do think about that, and your 102 is to where that what's the most simple way of how to make a conversation more relevant, about how you're able to remember everything that you talked about. And like everybody might say that Advertisements, by the way. Why do you think that most advertisements or posters or brochures of any kind, why do you think that maybe that they would, in case if anybody's want to know too, that whenever you do look at them, most ads may not be able to remind you of every little detail that was going on during that time, but let's just say that they can kind of approach your attention just by saying this to where that it includes an example of like a still image right here, what was going on during that time of these two people talking, and also the things like if it's got like the subheader right here, you got the title and the header right here, and along with the question, something that looks like the questions being asked right here, and then you have right here the community members sign up today, and so it's like if you want to include a sign up today or something like that, I'm like in case of anybody's want to know too, that I have not seen any ads of any kind that say sign up tomorrow or something like that. In case of anybody's wondering, that I don't think I've ever seen one. To be quite honest with you, I don't really see very many ads that say please register tomorrow or something, unless if it's an email or something like that. But I don't see that too much at a time. To be quite honest with you, I'm like I really don't. I don't really see anything like this right here to where that please sign up tomorrow or do this tomorrow or something like that. I really don't see that too much at a time. So every time you do think about that with most advertisements, right, that you're always want to know too, that why do you think that if somebody's trying to start a conversation with you about something, then most of the time it would say this this catalog, this brochure of any kind, this poster would say something like, community members sign up today. And it would say something like that. Sign up today right here. How often are they really going to say sign up tomorrow or something like that? I really would like to know too that I don't see that too often. I don't really see that very often to where that they're going to ask you to come back tomorrow and sign up or something like that. Please sign up today. And so at the time, it's like this is going to be the last day to be able to register or something like that, or this is the last one or something like that. But still, it's like, so every time you do think about that, then you're 102 is to where the community members sign up today, not tomorrow or something like that. And so I would like to know too that every time you do think about that, by the way, and you're 102, that anything that you're working on, by the way, that they'll tell you that do you think that maybe that do you have more do you have more personnel sign up for something on a certain day of the week or something like that compared to the following day, or maybe that following Tuesday or something like that? But still, if you've all done the planning and everything, and you're kind of planning and scheduling and any other events, and then you might even think too that you start thinking about stories about whenever you went out walking around the community, went out walking around at the stores and all that, and shopping malls, whichever, and you would see something like sign up today or something like that. But how many of those ads are going to maybe say is toward it sign up tomorrow or something like that? I think there's probably a reason why that they don't say sign up tomorrow, is because of the fact that because tomorrow is whenever they're going to be processing all the requests. They might even, people might even say that whoever that's managing those orders or those that information about who signed up for this event or something like that, they'll probably tell you that you can sign up, but tomorrow is whenever we're going to be collecting. Whenever we're going to be processing all the work and all that, looking over, reviewing the work or something like that. But still, it's like every time you do think about that, then you'll want to know too, as to where that usually I see sign up today, but everybody might want to know too that yeah, well, if for whatever reason that if it didn't work the first time or even the second time, but still, but yeah, reasons why that you want this person to listen to for anything that you want to talk about, and would you pretty please add your name right here? And so that's why it seems that way to where that whenever we do start out a conversation just by saying just kidding, hello, with a surprise or something like that, and so that's why it seems that way to where that yeah, if you look real closely and everybody say that yeah, most of the time a lot of conversations, by the way, do start out with the fact that whenever you do talk to somebody, and let's just say if you're talking to cousins or maybe if it's two sisters, and then they're talking to you about what's going what they want to talk to you about, and if you'd like to add your name today or something like that, and yeah, at the grocery stores or anywhere like that, shopping malls, that you're going to be talking to somebody, and most of the time that those conversations are going to start out with something like with hello, welcome or something like that, and so yeah, so it's like so every time you do think about that, and you're 102 that would you pretty please would you are you be willing to answer a few questions or something like that, or would you pretty please put your name right here to let us know that we talked to you or something like that. So yeah, more likely like an invoice. And I know everybody might say that if you're going to be going to the stores and talking to maybe up to 500 or so, up to maybe close to 100 people or something like if you're going to be talking to maybe quite a few dozen people out of a whole day, and you might think as to where that you can't remember all of what you talked about, and so that's why it seems that way to where that whenever you have conversations with anybody, that you don't really know what they're thinking in general, so that's why you say that just kidding, yeah, hello by surprise or something like that. So most of the time, I just really think that that's my point of perspective is to where that whenever you do start a conversation with somebody, and if you say you give them a no or a maybe or something like that, maybe later, and then they say pretty please or something like that, and so that's why I sound like yeah, reasons why. And in case if anybody's 102 that most of the time that whenever you do have a conversation with somebody, for sure that you go and explain reasons why, and that the likely chances are that somebody is going to talk to you, and somebody's going to sign up, or somebody's going to go ahead and buy what you're selling and all that. And so that's why it seems that way that each time you do think about that, then you're warned to where that you're going to add just kidding right there, and they'll tell you that just by surprise, yeah, it's the start of being silly on a conversation. It's like yeah, like everybody might say, it's another way of how you want to greet somebody, just by saying is to where that you're going to give them an answer that they didn't really quite understand during a time, or that they were just kind of like yeah, that no, I didn't know that from before, or maybe later or something like that. So it's like yeah, so every time you do have these conversations, by the way, that there is a big difference between filling out an application and compared to actually talking to somebody. And most of the time, everybody might say is that maybe you have a more likelihood that compared to filling out the paperwork and compared to actually talking to somebody, what are the likely chances are that maybe you are willing to participate, you're more than willing to to do a favor for somebody. And a lot of times that's usually what it is too, is to where that after you get done with what you were working on, after you get done with some of your shopping or something like that, somebody would take a minute or two to go ahead and look over the paperwork, and then give you something, and maybe just so that way you can talk about stuff. And that is why it seems that way, to where that when we do talk about just kidding, if it's about the study about the typical psychology and social working or something like that, but still, every time you think about that, then you're always want to know too, as to where that, yeah, that, that's not always the answer that they really want to hear, but on the other hand, that, you know, uh, if you go ahead and if you ask politely, and maybe if you're nice about it, then more likely that might get the other person to change their mind of some kind. But still, how often do we maybe agree that just kidding is just another way of stating as to where that, yeah, that they didn't really like the idea at first until you explained to them about your reason was, and then that's whenever you got their attention toward, okay, yeah, I'll be willing to take care of it or something like that. So, so a lot of times, you're always want to know too, is to where that whenever you have any conversation with anybody, for sure that you're thinking as to where that, okay, yeah, that almost every conversation that you do have with somebody, that you're not going to agree on everything. Of course, you're not going to agree on everything, but almost every conversation that you do have with somebody, that you may not remember everything that you talked about, but what is the main reason why that you would use the word "and just kidding"? And they would say is this to word that well, really, that I normally use it so that way I can impress the other person just by saying this to word that, yep. Yeah, this is based on my feedback right here. Is this toward, yeah, you would use the word "just kidding" for that reason. Is just because that you want to try to surprise and impress that person with something, and it's like, yeah, well, this is the way of how they get to know you a little bit better. Is just by saying this to her, yeah, I'm only kidding, yeah, I'll go ahead and take care of it, and then so yeah, so a lot of times it's like, besides the pretty please look or something like that, but still. So each time you do think about that in your 102, that you have conversations with anybody, and they say, yeah, give us some reasons why, reasons why, and then knowing about maybe they'll likely understand. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.